Welcome to my channel. This is Dr. Mafi. I've been teaching English for quite a while now, and I love teaching you. Thank you for joining me again. Well, if you remember in one of the earlier videos, if you refer to it, and let me know what you think, of course, in the comments that you can drop me down below, we talked about the tenses in English. English, we are tenses. When we talk about tenses, well, we mean the verbs of English. It's actually one of the most important parts of a speech among the four ones, right? The other being nouns, adjectives, and adverbs. But here we focus on the verbs again. Like in the earlier video, I hope you have watched it. Well, we talked about mostly the active voices, Well, this is the normal, basically, structure we use for our verbs in English. And in English, we have these 12 tenses. In active voices, we use a special form of the tense or verb that, well, usually is the basic form or the most common one. Actually, we start our structure, our sentence with a subject, then a verb, which is the active voice, and then the rest of the sentence, which is, it can be object, if it is actually the transitive verb. If it is intransitive, then it doesn't require any objects. That's another story that you have to refer to my other videos that I talked about verbs there. So I gave all the classifications and typology of the verbs there. But what about passive voices? Passive voices, when do we use passive voices? When? This is about the structure we can use in English of the column, this list of all the passive voices of the tenses or the verbs in English. But let me tell you something in the beginning, like as an introduction to, in fact, when we use passive voices. Well, obviously, as you can see, I changed into the window. Where is the window? The window here was the object of the sentence in the active voice. But here, the object starts the sentence. Why? Because either we are not aware of the subject is unknown to us, right? So if the subject is unknown, like in murder stories or movies, nobody knows who the murderer is, right? Nobody knows who's done it, who's killed who, right? So that subject is unknown. Either the subject is unknown or we are not interested in subject anymore, right? So we don't want to use the subject as the starter of the structure. So we use passive voices. Of course, there are other reasons why we use passive voices and prefer it actually to active voices in English, right? That's another story I don't want to get into. Just as a way of introduction, I just wanted to say why we use the passive voices in the first place. And now, let's see the structure. Just like the active voices, we start our sentence with not the subject, but the object. Okay, after the object, then we can use the verb. But how? This is the structure of the passive voice in English. For the first one, simple past tense, we have to use was, where, depending on our objects. Here, it functions as the subject of our structure. So if it is singular, then we use was. If it is plural, we use where. Exactly. So either was or where in the past tense. So was plus PP. That's it. Was plus PP. Simple past tense, that's the passive voice structure or formula for it, right? So was plus PP. And if you want to continue the sentence, and if you already know the subject, you can use by, not with, by, plus the object form of the subject. The objective noun, actually, the object noun, right? The object noun is, or accusative noun, right? Is, for I is me. I changes into me. Why do we use the object form? Because it happens after the verb. Anything before the verb, in fact, follows the subject noun. Anything that comes after the verb, this is the line. After it, we have to use the object form, even if it used to be a subject in the active voice, okay? So anyway, So we use by me. But anyway, I put it in a pair of parentheses. It means that it's quite optional, right? Now let's turn to or move on to the second part or second subcategory, past progressive or past continuous. We use the same structure, was, where, again, depending on singular or plural object functioning as a subject here in our structure, was, where. But because it's continuous or progressive, we use being. This is the fixed part again. Was, where, being, then plus PP, right? In the third form, we use had been. This is the fixed part. Had been. Fixed part, nothing changes about this. Had been. Then PP plus PP. And then the rest of the story. Okay? Well, now let's move on to the second category, present tense. Well, these four formulas are as follows. Again, the window, the object. Now, because it's present tense, we don't use was, where. We use am, is, are. Am, is, are. So here, because a window, it is. It becomes is, right? So it should agree, basically. Is plus PP and the rest of the sentence. And now, present progressive is being. Just like was being, is being plus PP. Here, we use was, where, plus being, plus PP. Here, we use am, is, are, plus being, plus PP. That's the fixed part, is being, or am being, or are being, then plus PP. Then what we have, present perfect tense, but the passive voice, we use have or has, plus been, which is the fixed part, and then PP form, okay? PP for, well, and now we move on to the next item, which is the future tense. Future tense. I will open the window. Well, obviously, the object comes first, right? The object appears at the beginning of the sentence, and will be. After will be, this is the fixed part. Then, as you have seen, here we use was, where. Here you use am, is, are. Here we use will be. That's the fixed part. Then plus PP and the rest of the sentence. Well, and for perfect, future perfect tense, we have will have been, which is the fixed part. Will have been, always. Not has, not had, nothing else. Will have been is the fixed part, okay, of the passive voice structure for the future perfect tense. And then the PP form. And as you have noticed, we don't have 4 structures for the passive voices in English. So all of the passive voice structures we have for all of these 12 active voices are 8. They come up to 8. Missing, in fact, 4 areas, or missing 4 subcategories. All right? We don't have any passive voice equivalents for the active voices, which are 12 in English, okay? Thank you very much. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching again.